Hi guys, I'm on the Essex coast today and I'm doing some seascape photography. And I love seascape photography or landscape photography in general, to be honest. Now I tend to find on my channel the wildlife videos do better than the landscape videos, but to be honest I love landscape photography as much as wildlife photography. So I don't want to just sort of take the channel into an area where all I do is wildlife photography. I want to do some landscapes as well. So for anyone that's interested in wildlife photography, I'm going to be doing on my next video, I think I'm going to be looking for Dartford warblers, so that'll be wildlife photography. But if you are interested in wildlife photography, please stick to the end, stay with this video because landscapes are great as well. Now, when I first got here, it was super cloudy and that was fine because what I'm intended to do, and I've already got the shots in the bag, is shoot some real minimalist compositions. So in other words, I've got this lighthouse. It's an old listed lighthouse in the background there, and I've shot it with just the sea and the background, and I used a really slow shutter speed to smooth out the clouds and smooth out the water, so it's a real minimal composition, and I'm probably going to turn it into a black and white shot, and it worked really well. I used a 90-second exposure. I was on f/16 and I needed to use a really dark neutral density filter in front of the lens, a big stopper, and that enables me to shoot with really slow shutter speed in bright lighting conditions, even though it was really cloudy at the time. And for that cloudy light, that minimalist composition works really well, because normally if I'm shooting landscapes I want directional sunlight, I want the sun to be low in the sky, so either sort of sunset times or early morning. But when it was really cloudy, I had this sort of subject and composition in mind. So a minimal composition, smooth out the water so it's really milky, just the lighthouse in the background, and then quite a soft sky as well, because any movement in the clouds will also smooth out. So that worked really well. First composition in the bag. And then what I'm doing now is, because I've got a little bit more cloud and a little bit more light, I'm using these breakers as a lead-in line. So if you can see here, I've got these white breakers in the foreground, or groins, sea defences, and they're leading me through to the lighthouse in the background. I'm still shooting with a slow shutter speed, and I've done it two different ways actually. I shot with something like a 60-second exposure to smooth, again, all the waves out. So I've got this diagonal line leading me straight to the lighthouse in the background. And then I switched composition slightly and I speeded up my shutter speed. So I shot with about a 4-second exposure. And that gave me a little bit more sort of texture in the water, so you get a little sense of the waves coming in and out. So it's not always about shooting with a really slow shutter speed, but in this case I've done both. So I think the reason I came here was for that minimal sort of composition, just a really smoothed out water with the lighthouse in the composition and a smoothed out sky. And I've shot it with the lighthouse off to one side, so I'm using rule of thirds, but I think on the minimal composition I might crop it to a square so it's really symmetrical as well, but we'll see. And I'm also very much thinking that I will turn it into a black and white composition, or black and white picture, because I think it's taking out any of the colour, and it looked almost black and white anyway when it was really cloudy, I think will work well because it gives it that simplicity, so it makes it even more of a minimalist composition. So that's about it really. I'm going to keep shooting because now we've got a little bit of sun coming out, and that will give me a different feel to the pictures. But actually I've got the shot in the bag. I've got a 30-second exposure with just the lighthouse, a smoothed out sky, and then I've got a few exposures at 4 seconds, and that gives me a little bit more texture in the water. And it's been great. It's been really fantastic to get out and do some more landscapes. As I say, the next video will probably be a wildlife one. And it's been a little while since I've done a video for YouTube, because as I mentioned in my last little piece to camera prior to this vlog, I've been shooting a really massive project. I've shot 25 hours worth of video lessons, and I've got a new website being built, and that's taken up all my time, and I've not been able to get out and shoot videos for YouTube. So I'm rectifying that now. I'm off the leash, so to speak, and I can get out and do photographs for me, and I can start shooting some more YouTube videos. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's quite a short one, but it's lovely to be down on the coast. And as I say, obviously the camera's on a tripod because I've been shooting with long exposures. I've used a big stopper, a neutral density filter, so that I can increase the length of the exposure without getting any overexposure in the picture. I've shot at f16 and at f11. Ideally I want to shoot at f11 because that gives me my best quality image, but because I wanted a long exposure, even with the big stopper on, I needed to shoot at f16 on some of my exposures, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this quite short vlog, and if you have enjoyed it and you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you can consider subscribing, that would be great. And if you do subscribe, press the little bell icon and that'll tell you when my next video is uploaded. And if you've got any comments about long exposure photography or minimalistic exposure photography, just please drop your comments in the comment section below this video. So that's about it for now, and thanks very much for watching, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon, guys. This is the first picture I took, and this was shot with a, as I say, a 90-second exposure. And as you can see, all the waves, or all those choppy little waves, have been smoothed out. There's no detail in the sky, and that's what I was going for, this real minimalist type image. And when I took the raw file, I converted it into black and white, and I think, as I said before also, black and white works really well. I also did a really high key conversion. So in other words, I pushed the white slider and the highlight slider to the right and overexposed a good part of the image. So the sky's overexposed. Now there wasn't a lot of detail in the sky anyway because it was really cloudy, but what detail there was I wanted to get rid of. So I've got this white bland sky, and also the water's been overexposed as well. So even though that water's smoothed out, the water's quite overexposed also. And all we've actually got is just a slight line along the horizon where the water meets the sky. And that gives you that sense of the horizon, but it's very, very small. And I think, you know, this high key conversion works really well for this type of image. Now, on this first picture, I'm using rule of thirds, so the lighthouse is off to one side. But on the second picture coming up, I've cropped this picture to a square. And I think, you know, this square format works really well because it gives the picture a real symmetry. So generally, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't put my main subject in the middle of the frame. I'd put it off to one side, as I did in that first image that we've just looked at. But I think this symmetry works well for this minimalist image, and it gives it a real simple, calm feel to the picture. Now, I'm not 100% sure that the square crop is better than the rectangular crop that you've just seen. So, you know, if anyone's got any thoughts on that, let me know which one you prefer. The first picture using rule of thirds, or the second picture where I've broken the rule of thirds and put it all in the middle. And I'll be really interested to see which picture is your favourite. So if you can drop your choice or your preference in the comment section below, that would be great. The sun's popping in and out now, and I'm still going to keep shooting actually because I've got a nice sky behind me, and even though the light's a bit more contrasty, I'm shooting on a 6-second exposure and I'm getting some lovely movement in the waves. I'm checking my histogram and making sure I don't get any overexposure in the highlights. The tide's coming in, so I'm getting a lot of movement. So this is really great. I'm going to keep cracking on and see how the sky develops, because early on it was really flat with no clarity in the sky at all, and that was fine because, as I say, I was going for that minimal exposure. But now I've got a little bit more cloud, and I've got a little bit of movement in the cloud, and it's adding a different feel to the picture completely. And I'm getting a little bit of light on the sea, and that's adding a highlight without it being overexposed. So all in all, I think the conditions have changed completely. I've just got really wet feet because the tide's coming in, but that doesn't matter because I've just got another great exposure. And there's a dog coming to have a chat as well, so it's all good. So I'm going to say bye for now, guys. I know it's an extra bit me waffling on still, but as I say, the conditions have changed, so I'm doing a different type of photography now. But I'm still keeping an eye on my histogram and making sure I don't get any overexposure in the highlights because I'm shooting towards the sun, which is something that wasn't a problem this morning because it was very, very cloudy. This is going to be my last composition of the day, and the sky's really broken up now and I've got lots of cloud and light and shade, and I wouldn't normally shoot moving water when it was we've got this bright sunlight, but I'm getting all the full range of tones on the digital sensor, so my highlights are okay and my shadows are okay, so the bright areas and the dark areas have been recorded on my sensor, so it's all good. I'm on a 6-second exposure at f16 and I've gone really wide angle now, so I've got these whole wooden groins coming into the frame on a diagonal pointing towards the lighthouse, which is on the left hand side. And I've got, because I'm wide angle, I've got a lot more beach, so I've got the waves coming up and then coming out and creating lines leading me back to the lighthouse. And I've got some really decent sky and a bit of movement in the sky too. So I'm just going to wait until I get a decent wave coming. Maybe this one, probably not actually, but I'm shooting digitally, so it's not like I'm wasting film. So I'll wait for a big wave because I want the energy as it comes in and then rolls back out again. So I think we need to wait for a decent wave to come in, and I'll take the shot. And hopefully we'll get one build up in a minute. But this is such fantastic conditions. I've had the conditions I wanted in the morning, those cloudy conditions, and now this is the one. That's it, a big wave coming in, and we've got another couple coming up, I think. So it's a case of just being patient and getting the right conditions. And maybe this one. I want the waves to come up the beach a little bit more this time. And of course, as soon as you start talking to the camera, it doesn't do what you want it to do, but we'll see. Big wave building up, that's what we want. There we go, that'll do. And then that water's running out, creating lines, leading to my lighthouse. And I'm just shooting, all the time I'm talking here, I'm just shooting because you never quite know what you're going to get with these slightly slower shutter speeds, and they just look awesome sometimes. So it's another shot in the bag. So I think I'm going to keep shooting these pictures until I get exactly what I want, but I'm going to say bye for now, guys. So I really do mean it now, so bye for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed it, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next vlog, which will hopefully be a wildlife photography vlog. So bye for now, folks.